I'm Sue Watson, and this is Ginger, and she belongs to Kathy, who is an OEM in engineering here at Wahl Clipper. So today, we're going to do Ginger's haircut, and she's already been prepped, so she's had her bath, she's been dried and combed through, but you can see she's a little uneven. She's got a thicker body. Her legs are pretty thin. So to try and balance that, we're gonna go with a trim today that's gonna help make her legs look like it's more balanced with the body, and they're not gonna be like little chicken legs. So now that we're gonna get started, we wanna start with her pads first. So let's switch to a 30 on the clipper. And today I'm gonna use the new KM Supura. It's a cordless clipper. This way I don't have to worry about what she's gonna get entangled in while working on the table. So starting with the back foot kind of helps get used to what's going on. And it's kind of an introduction to both of us. So I really like to open that pad up. We're gonna clean everything off any of the back pads here. Get that all opened up, and you can see her feet were pretty hairy. Mom let her grow out so we can show this lovely haircut. Once it's nice and clean, we're gonna move to the front, and we're gonna lift this foot up behind her, only because it gives us more control. So you can see she's got some matting in between these pads. We can go ahead, get these toes cleaned off. Her feet are gonna stay a lot cleaner. She's gonna sweat less through her feet if we can get all this hair out of the way. And because we separated those toes, we got everything cleaned out like we need to. Okay, so we had a 30 on here. We're gonna go ahead and switch that. You can see how easy that latch releases the blade. And we're gonna put our 10 on, close our clipper up, and now we're good to do her sanitary. So we're gonna start with going down right about where her belly button would be. And you don't actually need to touch the clipper to the skin. You're just gonna flick this hair off and open this belly up. This is gonna make our haircut look neater and more put together. So we just want to clean off this lower part here, just so that we clean her up and keep her cool. And we're just going to clean off the sanitary area under here between the legs so she stays cleaner. And this doesn't take away from our haircut once we get done. Now we're gonna lift the tail, and we're gonna do just around the rectum a little bit. And you never wanna touch the blade to the actual rectum, so you're gonna move on either side, a little bit above and a little bit below, just so she stays cleaner. And when your haircut is finished, it's tidier. So just a little bit, about an inch on all sides. Should be nice and equal. And like I said, never run the clipper directly over the rectum, because that can be irritating. Then we're gonna come around and we're gonna hold the head hair back because we don't wanna clip that, but we do wanna get rid of all this here. All of this, if we can take this out with a 10 blade, this will help open up her eyes more, keep the eyes cleaner, especially for dogs that tear. We have our 10 blade, and then we're gonna get the inside corner cleaned out, and all these discolored hairs are now gonna go away. And we're just doing about a pinky width area. You don't need to go all the way down the nose. We just wanna really clean out under her eyes. This will help keep her cleaner. Her eyes aren't gonna get all gooky and stuck with matter. So that's all it takes, just one little swipe and it's all cleaned out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my 30 blade. because that's what I like to use under my combs, especially for a more mature coat. So I'm gonna start with my one comb. Okay, so we have our one comb, which is actually a 1/2 inch length. And what I like to do, if I'm gonna leave my legs fuller, I like to kind of go over my legs first and then trim my body in, because I feel it helps me balance and blend my lines easier. So we're actually gonna start by cutting down the leg and evening all the unevenness. It almost looks like she chews, so that doesn't help us either. And we're gonna come all the way down the foot. If we can lift up the foot, we wanna make sure that we're clipping over the foot as well, because we don't wanna have to scissor anything we don't need to. So if we can even everything up at the same time, it's gonna make our finish work even better. Pick that leg up, try and keep it straight so you can go over the foot and blend all that in together. But you can see how already by taking some of the length off the leg, it's not so intimidating when you go to finish your trim if you keep the legs just a little bit longer than you're going to trim the body. I usually make a couple of passes, and when no other hair falls off, I consider that a win. So that gives us our rear leg, and we're gonna go ahead and move to the front. All right, so we're gonna start at the shoulder, and we're gonna take that down and come right down into the leg. Now she's pretty antsy, so we just kind of have to hold on to the loop that she's on to kind of hold her in place. And now I'm gonna pick up the foot and I'm gonna hold the leg so I can come down, right down into the foot. And if you can make that long sweep, it's gonna help you get an even finish throughout. Now she's very tuggy for her legs, so we want to make sure that we're holding her securely so she doesn't back off the table. Now these are the kinds of dogs we're used to working with in our shops, so we just learn to kind of work around them and get what we can. Now that we've got the inside of the leg clipped, I want to hold at the elbows, come over the foot. You're fine. And I want to hold the legs so I can get the underside clipped. So I just shake it out a little bit, make sure the hair is laying right. And I'm just gonna come down all the way down to the bottom of the foot. I'm gonna get this armpit area, the back of the leg from the elbow down, right into the foot. Now we're just blending a little more at the top. That way, it's gonna be a lot less scissoring. And when you don't have to spend as much time scissoring, it saves you time in the salon. So now that we have our legs completed on this side, we're gonna do that same thing to the other two legs. And we're gonna get those cut in. So now that we have the legs cut in, we want to switch from our one comb. So we're just going to slide that off, and we're going to go to our two comb, and we're going to do our body work. And with the legs already done, it's going to be a lot easier to blend, but you're going to see how all of a sudden everything balances better and is gonna fall into place where it needs to be. So we're gonna turn her straight, and I like to start up at the neck and work down. If you work backwards, that generally cuts your coat 2 to 3 blade lengths shorter than what you're actually using. So I'm gonna turn my clipper on. I'm gonna come up here to the top. Well, I'm up here close to the loop, And I'm gonna start back. I'm gonna hold onto her rear leg here a little bit so that I can keep her standing, so I can start blending this body into what we already did to the legs. Now we are 1 blade length shorter than what was used on the leg. And this is just gonna give her a little bit more style and a little cute shape to her body. We're gonna come down the back of the rear leg here, right to the bend and then out. And when you scoop that out, what this helps do is set a little more angulation so that she has a nice bend of leg that matches what she has for a knee. So it's just about balance work. I clear off next to the tail so that that transition is nice and smooth. Now you can go ahead and come down into the tail to blend that, or you can leave a little bit more fill. It becomes a groomer's preference at that point. But you see how nicely this exposed the thigh muscle, but yet we still have our length on the rest of the leg to help balance. So this just kind of gives us that nice blended feeling, and we don't have to go and recomb up to make sure that we're getting that smooth transition. We're gonna come up here again and come up down our rib cage. Once I set this in, I'll come around to the front of the dog, and then I can start piecing the dog together so we have that nice smooth transition between all sections of the dog. But I'm just making sure we're not having any long hairs come off so that I don't have to go back and do this later. So we have that nice smooth transition. All right, we're gonna move to the front end now, and then I'm gonna hold this ear forward. I'm gonna come down the shoulder muscle, and you can see the shoulder muscle protrudes much further than the leg, but what we're trying to do is create parallel lines. So if we expose that thicker shoulder muscle and blend it just into the top of the longer part of the leg, this makes this all one line. And when you have all one line coming down, it gives you an appearance that the dog is a little bit taller and better put together. So we're gonna stand her up now. I'm gonna pull this leg forward just a little bit, and I'm gonna get this angle here and come the rest of the way on the rib cage. Now, if it's easier for you, you can actually lift the dog up, and she doesn't have to come up super high. With this angle like this, you can come from the armpit and right down into the center of the dog. We're gonna leave this little bit of fill here, but I'm gonna show you how to blend that. But we're gonna clean up this belly. And right here at my transition line where we shave the tummy and we have the longer coat on the bottom of the rib cage, I flip my clipper around and just come up from the bottom to help me blend that line. Then I'm not having to scissor all that either. So I just blend it, flip it back around, and come down. And now I have a smoother transition. We're gonna put her down. We have a nice, neat underline. And now I wanna make sure that we have a nice transition into the rear leg. So I'm just gonna roll her side, and you can see all this hair that pops up. We're gonna just come down straight. And what this is gonna do is help cut her a waistline. It'll actually make her look trimmer. but we're not taking any of our length off the long part of the leg that we want to leave. This is just going to help us blend all sections of our dog together better. Now we let that go, and you can see how that gave her a nice little waistline. And this little part here, we're just going to neaten up with our thinning shears. So we're going to leave that for last. So now that we have the side cut in, we move back to the front. I'm going to hold her ear back. I want to feel for her jawline, which is actually way up here. So her face shape is a little bit different than some of the dogs we might work on. So we're actually going to start from up here and open this neck up. And always feel for your jawbone. It's pretty easy to do that. And we're going to blend into the chest. This gives us a nice straight line from under the neck right down into our chest. To finish this off, we're going to come down and right between the front legs. This is going to connect our under the rib cage and our chest together. She doesn't think she wants that, but she does. She just doesn't know it yet. Now, if we need to feather any other edges in, as we see them stick out, we're going to grab those and tidy up this line here. And make sure that our transition is nice and smooth. And you can see how nice this clipper runs, and it doesn't leave the track marks. You get that nice, even blended finish, which is so important because then you're not having to go and fix that as well. And then once we know we have everything set the way we want it, we're going to go ahead and move to the other side of the dog. Okay, so I want to show you what I discovered when prepping this dog. She has a pretty good size mat, and instead of trying to brush this out and creating irritation, it would be better to just take a 10 blade and clip these mats out. We can always blend it once we do that, but we don't want to irritate the dog, and we certainly don't want to hurt her. Now that we have our 10 blade on, you don't want to stretch the skin too tight. You just want to open the ear up, and then we're just going to gently use the end of our 10 blade here, and I'm just kind of using the inside and outside corners because I don't want to shave a big strip in the side of her face. And we're just going to get that out. But you see how we have these heavy matting. This would be pretty irritating to try and brush this out. It's even very difficult to pull it apart with your fingers. So whenever you see something like that, instead of trying to work with it, just clip it out. It's not going to show at the end of the groom. It's a lot safer for the dog. Good job. All right, so now we have both sides cut in. We have our legs done in our 1 comb. Our body was done in the 2. So now everything is blended together. And the last thing we have to do is tidy up these feet. If you look at the legs, we have that nice, neat, blended finish. If we see a sticky outie or two, we'll go ahead and tidy those up as we go. But we're going to go ahead and start with the feet. So I'm going to start with straight shears. And I always start with my back feet because, again, if you start in the back and work forward, a dog has an opportunity to get the feel of what you're doing. Now, if she wants to sit, I don't have a problem with it because the way I shape feet, if she's sitting, it won't matter. So for me, what I do is I make my first cut in front of the 2 center toes. So I'm gonna cut right up to the nail, and I just kind of round under the bottom to make sure I'm not leaving any long hairs down there. Now I don't touch the sides yet. I'm gonna roll this foot over. I'm gonna comb down again, and any hair that's touching this big pad here is gonna be trimmed. It's okay, sweetheart. So now we've got the back of the foot trimmed in. So nothing's touching. So when she goes outside, her feet are gonna stay a lot cleaner. We're gonna put the foot down on the table, and now I'm gonna connect my dots. I'm gonna come around. Now her feet are pretty ticklish, so she keeps jumping them. So I need to hold on to them, hold on to the legs so that we don't have an issue with her popping her foot up into the scissors as I'm trimming. I'm gonna flip the foot over. It's okay, sweet girl. You can see she doesn't like it, but it's okay. We give her a chance to adapt, and then we can go ahead and continue. Once I get all that trimmed in and all these long hairs off the bottom, I'm gonna come back to the top. I comb up, and there is always this ridge right here. And in order to connect your foot, if you come across the top of the foot, and your scissor is at a 45-degree angle, angling from the toes, it's okay, it's okay. Up into the foot, you're gonna be able to blend right up into the leg. And that just kind of helps pull your leg and foot together. We're gonna double check for any of those sticky outies we mentioned. So we're just gonna comb up. These hairs that popped out here, those are our sticky outies, and those we wanna get. And you're always gonna have a few. So you wanna make sure that you're checking for them, but you shouldn't have to go in and spend 20 minutes scissoring your leg. It should just take a couple of minutes. Let's move that hair out of the way. We're gonna comb up the back, and we're gonna look for those sticky outies. We're just gonna tidy those up. And we have a nice, neat leg, and it took less than 2 minutes to neaten that up. Just to make sure, we're gonna comb this area here, because remember, I told you before we had some little hairs that would need to be trimmed to connect our body and leg together. So we just make that nice little transition going into the body, so we have that nice, neat outline. So moving to the front leg now, it's gonna be the same thing. We wanna comb all the hair down, and you can see by the shape of her foot, she really gives her groomer a hard time. And that's okay. We're gonna let her get used to how I'm holding her, give her a second to calm down, and we're gonna make that cut right at the center, 2 nails. She manipulates herself quite well, but we still have all these hair on the big pad here. So we want to take our scissor and trim those so that there is no hair covering that pad. Her foot's gonna stay a whole lot cleaner if we get rid of that. Anything you see that needed trimming from the bottom, this is your opportunity to get that. Just so everything's gonna stay cleaner and drier. Now we're gonna put her foot down. We're gonna comb out those sides, and we're gonna round the rest of our foot. And you see how easy that becomes? And because we didn't start at the side of the foot, now we have created a more rounder foot that fits the leg better. So we're gonna comb these feet up, which she's not used to having done, but that's okay. And we're still gonna try and get that 45-degree angle from the toes up into the foot. And once we do that, we're just gonna comb up this leg. Don't comb down, because if you do, you're gonna miss those hairs. So just comb up, and what I do is give just a light shake, and it helps pop anything out that needs to be scissored for you. And this process literally should take less than 2 minutes. And then we're just looking for those little hairs that popped out, our technical sticky outie word. We're checking the inside and the outside of the leg, making sure that we're checking the armpit area as well, because if you leave all that, that'll start to fall onto the dog long before the rest of the coat grows out. And we're just neatening and tidying as we go. And that's all it should take to give you those nice parallel lines. And then we're gonna move to the other side and do those feet. So now we're gonna start working on her head. We've gone through the feet. All 4 feet are done. All sticky outies were looked for. So now we're gonna neaten up the back of the head. I gently pull the ear forward. I tidy up this line here. I do not go up into the head. I stay even with the back of the ear. If you were to take your clipper and clip all this in, you leave yourself no blending room to blend the back of the head into the neckline. It just cuts it off too sharp, and it makes blending more difficult. So always start behind the ear and then go into your body and leave the rest of this to fill. So we're gonna just neaten the edge. We're gonna open the ear up. Now we're gonna clean up this edge along the jawline. We've removed the mat from behind the ear, but you can't even see that now that we're blending everything together. I come up at a slight V up into the bottom jaw, and then I come down into the other side of the jawline, opening up this ear, and we're staying right even with the jawline. Make sure you feel for it, because every dog is different, and you want to make sure that you're leaving yourself blending room. So make sure you're feeling structure, just so you know. So we have that nice V going on here. When she puts her head down, you don't want anything from here touching her throat. If this is all open, it actually makes her look a little bit taller. And make sure that you're staying along that jawline. This is going to give a much cleaner finish, and pull your trim together so you have this nice U or V shape under the jaw. And that gives a nice clean edge. We're going to pull this ear forward. We're going to make sure this is all blended here. And remember, we're staying behind the ear so that we do not go up into the head. We don't want to cut up into the back of the head. This is all going to get blended in so you have one piece. And then you just make sure your neckline is blended. She has a nice clean neck when she wears her collar. It's not going to get matted. And everything is all blended neatly together. Nice clean lines. All right, so now we're switching to a 0 comb, which is a 5/8 blade, and we're gonna attach it to the 30 blade, just like we did the rest of the dog. Just line your feet up on the bottom of the blade, slide it forward, and it pops on. And because of the nice design, they stay on like they should, which is so important. So now we have switched to our zero comb. I'm going to actually make my first cut right up the center. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Now, if you see they're resisting, turn your clipper over and touch. Let them see that this is not gonna hurt them, instead of just keep trying to clip. And once they settle down, you can turn that clipper back over and blend in her head. We're gonna blend into the ear. We're gonna come down the cheek line. We're gonna open the ear. And all this stuff here can be clipped to blend with the rest of the head. And if we get this nice and smooth, it actually helps with the way the ear lays against the face. Good girl. And finish blending in your cheek line. Hold that ear open. You have all these loose ends, and just come forward. It helps it lay in place better, so that when we go into scissor to complete the blending, it's just all gonna fall in place better. Same thing on the other side. And it's okay if you have to move a little slower. We need to blend our chin, so we have to try again. This kind of desensitizes them and makes your process a little bit easier. And with each pass, she relaxes more and more. Good job. There we go. You want to make sure you're getting as even as a cut as you can get, the less scissoring you're going to have to do. So we're just blending this cheek line and head together like we did to the other side. She is settling in more and more. Now, if you want to make your blending easier on the back of the head, you can take your longer comb and just come backwards just a little bit. And that will help with blending and save you scissor time. There. Good job. Good girl. So the first thing I like to do once I get my clipper work done is I like to set over my eyes. Once you have the eyes set in, it makes blending into the head easier. So even though her hair is very flat, we're gonna comb it all forward and lift it. Once we do that, we're gonna take our shears, and I use a straight, and I'm gonna angle it at a 45-degree angle, placing my lower blade right at the top of her eyelid and make my first cut. And if the camera can zoom in, you can see how it puts a slight bevel edge right here. This is gonna help push the hair back and keep it out of her eyes. So I like to set a bevel edge right over the eye. So I make that cut first, and I put my bottom blade close to the eyelid, top eyelid, and make my first cut, and it layers it almost perfectly. And I make that angle right into the center of the eye. I haven't cut this yet because I want to make sure that I can blend both sides before cutting this. So we're going to comb the other side straight down. We're going to go right by that upper eyelid and make our first cut. And you almost can see the hair pop up on its own without me having to do anything, which really opens her eye up so much better. Now we're gonna comb, and we're gonna bridge everything together by cutting the top, the center part between the eyes. And you can see this all wants to pop up. I'm trying to keep it down, so I just shake it a little bit so that I can make sure I'm getting this nice edge. But you can see the hair instantly wants to push everything up. You're building layers as you go. We can comb down, but it's harder to get the hair to come down because it keeps wanting to pop up and back. And by setting this line in first, it makes blending everything together on top almost flawless. There is very little we're actually going to have to cut up in the top of the head. We're going to open the corner, outside corner of the eyes, just a little bit. Now we're going to open this ear. We're going to comb this back, and this ridge that just popped up, we are now going to trim. And if you find this easier using curved shears, you can definitely go ahead and do that. I tend to use my straights for everything, but I know there's a lot of groomers out there that can't do their heads without curves. So if you need to, that's fine. The effect will still be the same. I'm neatening up that jawline just to make sure everything's coming together. We're going to comb the muzzle out now, comb up. And because we trimmed it the way we did by combing this hair back, and we had our front line trimmed in, when we comb up, we really have very little we need to fix on the side. And I do trim from the bottom up because I do want to give the coat more lift. And if you keep combing down like this and just trimming straight across, you're encouraging that hair to drop and stay down. But if you continue to comb up, you're going to build more layers and your face is going to stand out better. And we're going to quickly grab our thinners because what I want to do now is soften up my edges. So if I take my thinners, I can soften the look of her face and make sure my blending is flawless. We're going to comb down by her lip. And these long hairs here that just popped down, we're going to take our thinners and we're going to just neaten that up a little bit. This way it's going to stay neater after she drinks water and eats her food. It's just going to stay neater, plus it blends into the bottom jaw even better. Now our ear lays closer to the head, which is what we want. We're going to pull this slightly forward. This edge here, we're going to make sure is blending in. Anything that pops up, we're just going to fix. Now we don't have to do too much back here because remember, we came backwards with the yellow comb, the 0. So all we have to do is just look for any missed hairs to make sure that that blending is complete. Now we're going to open this ear up. We're going to have the same ridge here in front of the ear. If you can come up from the bottom so you can angle your scissors up, because if you come over the dog, that means you're going to scissor down. And you don't want to do that because you want to give the face more lift. So combing up and back. And sometimes if you just leave your comb in the ear, it will help keep this ear open and she won't tend to shake it as bad. You're going to fix that jawline. Now we're going to comb it and we're going to use our thinners to blend. And you can tell she gets a little anxious. That's why she wants to grab onto my arm. She wants to gain control back. and that's okay. You just gotta work with them. She doesn't know me, so everything I'm doing is different. We're gonna fix this corner here like we did on the other side. We're following into the jawline to blend. And you're just going back and forth, making sure that you have everything nice and even. Now we need to check her chin. And now we're just going to use our thinner to blend the two sides together. But it's going to be easier because we have this V or U shape here, and that stays open now. If you lift it up, you can see it stays open. So when we put her head down, it makes it easier to blend the two sides together. A good way to double check if they'll let you is to hold the ears up over the occiput. And as long as she's not pulling and trying to get away, this gives you an opportunity to comb and make sure you have everything right where you want it all the way around. Now I can see we need to fix this chin line, so I'm gonna actually switch back to my shear and neaten that edge out. Check my lines on the sides. There you go, little girl. Making sure all this is coming together. Now if I want to just soften that line, we drop the ears, pick up our thinners again, and just soften it. Make sure we're keeping our shape. Now we're gonna comb everything in place. It's okay. And now we pretty much have that nice, flawless, round face, and we just need to neaten the ears to complete. So my thumb and finger are holding the tip of the ear. This way, if she were to move quickly, it's not gonna get nicked. I'm gonna follow up this edge right up to where I already trimmed to get that nice shape. Good job. We're gonna comb it back in place, and I need to do the same thing to the front of the ear we did to the back of the ear. So we're gonna comb this all down. I'm using a curved chunker, and we're just gonna neaten that edge up. We're gonna do the same to this side. Hold the ear up. I slide my finger and thumb to the edge of the ear. Now I can already tell this ear is a little bit shorter than the other ear was. And we're gonna neaten this edge here. And this is just gonna round it a little bit more. And the same thing to the front. And you can do it from either side. It just depends on what is easier. Rounding this ear up. So this is Ginger, all completed on all sides. We did a 2 comb on the body, a 1 comb on the leg, a 0 on the head and face. We didn't have to do much in the way of scissor work because our clipper did our work for us. And that completes our groom for Ginger.